With an amused grin, her companion notes of the many errors she has been collecting today. She groans, replying that it's making her a little restless. From across the table, a girl holding a doll reminds the two that they don't have much time left. The blonde pays her words no mind, they only need one more until the goal after all. Yes, one more person. As the school day ends, the students begin to leave, chatting idly about their plans and responsibilities. The word club perks up our protagonist's ears. It's about time he chose one, though there isn't anything he really wants to do. If only he had a talent or skill. Suddenly a familiar voice calls out to him. The man asks if he would be so kind as to put the box away into the outside storage. The man leaves, leaving the boy struggling to lift the unexpectedly heavy box. As the boy calls out for some help, he realizes that it's already after school. The boy marches with wiggling legs, deciding that he needs to find a club fast because he's being used like a gopher. Halfway through the hall he groans, he doesn't even know where the storage is. He finally puts the heavy package down, deciding that the quaint little shed must be the storage, but he notes that it's quite worn down, even the door knob was about to fall off with a little pull. With a careful hand he pulls the door open, hoping that the roof won't collapse while he's inside. The embarrassed boy excuses himself and then swiftly closes the door. He found it weird, why were there people in the storage? Maybe it wasn't a storage after all. Carrying the heavy box again, he heads off to look for the storage. Suddenly a firm hand holds his shoulder, a friendly smile pleading for him to not leave so soon. The girl begins to explain, right now they were in the old storage and the new storage is all the way on the other side. The boy is annoyed, realizing that now he has to walk back the way he came. The girl graciously asks him if he would want to take a little break, they can give him something to drink and relax for a while. Humbly, he accepts, if it isn't too much of a bother. The boy asks, why were the girls in this kind of place? The girl with pigtails answers, telling him that they were given the old storage room as their club room. The items in the room were also inconsistent. Just what kind of club is this? He thinks to himself, silently. He points a finger to a box of junk, asking if it was a leftover from when their club room was a storage. The twin-tailed girl takes offense from his language, calling him rude for calling her magic tools junk. Confidently she takes out a large ring from the box, telling him that she'll split the ring in two. With a proud smile she lifts up the broken ring up to the skies, the boy feeling unimpressed. His attention turns to the creepy doll, asking what kind of trick she's used for. The girl with the bow explains that it's a cursed Ikematsu doll with quite a peculiar background that says it drove her last 4 owners to mysterious deaths, leading him to toss the doll up in the air. The boy asks why such a thing is in their club room, which leads the girl to list out quite a handful of cursed objects. Realizing that the two girls were both weirdos, he comes to the conclusion that the girl in the lab coat is probably a weirdo too. The in the lab coat apologizes for the room being a bit unsettling, leading him to second guess his theory because she doesn't seem like a bad person. The girl in the lab coat realizes that they have yet to introduce themselves, so they start a roll call. The girl with the bow introduces herself as Ninomiya Suzu, a first year. The occult research representative. The girl with the twin tails introduces herself as Kanda Chiaki, a second year. The magic research representative. And finally the girl in the lab coat introduces herself as Uera Koton, a third year. The hypnotism research representative. And together they are the Mystery Research Club. They strike a pose, explaining that the 3 of them are all researching mysterious things, so they call themselves that. But the truth is, they all wanted to make different clubs but they couldn't get enough members, so they decided to combine into one mysterious club. The boy points out that they might still disband because the club still doesn't have enough members. Koton agrees, saying that if they don't find one more member by the end of the week, their club is going to close down. If only one more person would join. The boy realizes the things have been progressing like the first episode of a wacky anime. He stands up, excusing himself and encouraging them to do their best to find their 4th member. Thinking to himself that involving himself is gonna get quite bothersome. Chiaki grabs his shoulder, wondering why he's in such a hurry. She explains that they introduced themselves, so it's only fair for him to introduce himself too. Goryu Daisuke, he declares bluntly. Chiaki, playing dumb, takes out a piece of paper and pleads for him to write his name down, wondering how it's written. He lifts up the piece of paper, realizing that it's a carbon paper over the club registration form. A stunned Chiaki is in disbelief. He saw through her greatest trick. Was he some kind of genius? Suddenly, Koton calls out his name. She asks him if he believed in hypnosis, leading him to say, "Not really." She requests him to look at the coin, tied in a string. She tells him that on a count of 3, he will not be able to not write his name on the club registration form. Daisuke, still skeptical, does as she say. I guess she's the same as the other two, a weirdo. He thinks to himself. He decides that he'll just play along and then leave. Chiaki thanks him, quickly grabbing the filled-out club registration form and sprinting out to give it to the teachers. Daisuke was in disbelief, shocked that the hypnotism really worked. Koton chuckles, wondrous, isn't it? She asks. Smugly, a completely flabbergasted Daisuke couldn't believe it. He thought it was just some random club they made for fun. He begins to wonder, is only she the real deal or are the other two? Koton praises him. He has a real talent for being hypnotized, something that doesn't make him a little bit happy. Goryu Daisuke, the newest member of the Wonders Research Club. It's strange. He did say it was high time he decided on a club, but being forced into joining by getting hypnotized is kinda wrong. There are safer clubs like the computer club, or the library club. Why did he end up joining such a suspicious club, or rather? What should he do here? He meekly asks if it's okay for him to be in the club because he wasn't researching anything. Chiaki reassures him that it's fine, he'll find something soon enough. A smug Chiaki confidently offers her help, telling him to ask away if there's something on his mind. Actually, he has a lot of things to say, he just doesn't know where to start. His attention suddenly turns to Koton, asking her why she's wearing a lab coat. She explains that she needs to look the part, first impressions are important to hypnotists. He agrees, she looks quite professional. She continues, pulling the lab coat down, revealing her school uniform. Remarking that she's just a normal student without the lab coat, although he thinks she's anything but, even with the lab coat on it was obvious, she's quite big. Suddenly she snaps, commanding him to stay still. A flustered Daisuke is left staring at her assets, unable to move, steaming red with embarrassment. She continues, explaining the other merits of wearing a lab coat, but he interrupts her, begging her to undo the hypnosis or at least move from his field of vision. A curious Chiaki asks him why did he rush to his seat. An uncomfortable Daisuke just says that there's a lot of mysteries that she shouldn't know about, particularly mysteries about the male physiology. Since the boy still has not found something to do, maybe he can assist in their research. She tells him to get in the box. It's time for her body-severing magic trick. He politely declines. A confused Chiaki asks why not. It's magic, so it's okay. He retorts that he has literally only seen her fail ever since coming to this club. A confident Chiaki proposes a different trick. Enter the bow. It's time for her skewering magic. He begins to wonder if she wants him dead. Suzu interrupts, recommending for him not to go along with her magic tricks. She's not really thinking of either tricks or setups. Suzu tells him that it would be much more meaningful if he'd help her out instead. With gleaming eyes, she eagerly proposes for him to put the cursed mask on. He realizes that he's going to die either way. She reassures him, saying that even though this mask has brought death to multiple people that used as decoration, no one has actually worn it yet. He takes a step back. No matter how he looks at it, that mask brings death. Suzu suddenly comes up with an idea. It might be nice to try the body-severing magic trick while wearing the cursed mask. And in case it fails, they could just cover it up, Chiaki adds. He slams the table, frustrated at being treated like a guinea pig. How can they treat a new member so poorly? Then suddenly he comes to a realization. The only reason they made him join the Wonders Research Club was to use him as a test subject for their experiments. He continues, telling them that they recruited him because he looked free even though they were a club full of girls. Isn't that right? He's such a joker. Really, they genuinely wanted to welcome him as their capable new member. He snaps, pleading that at least one of them could look him in the eye while they say that. He stands up, telling them that if it's like that then he's just going to cancel his club entry. Koton quickly calls out to him. It's not like there's any club he's interested in, right? She continues, telling him that he can research anything in their club. She'll be there, she'll help until he finds a mystery of his own. Daisuke calls out to her, telling her that she shouldn't use hypnotism as an insurance. When he realized his escape paths have been blocked, for the time being, Daisuke decided to remain in the club.